Hi everyone, I'm Astro Coach Amy. Welcome to my show, The Divine GPS Navigator. Today we'll be talking about the lunar eclipse and the full moon in the earth sign of Capricorn and the sun in the water sign of Cancer. This will be occurring on Monday, August 7th, and the eclipse begins about 8:50 in the morning Pacific Standard Time and will unfold and complete about 1:50 in the afternoon. The eclipse will be about 11:20 in the morning, so about midway through the eclipse. Now this is a partial eclipse this time, whereas the previous eclipse in February, it was what we call the prenumbral eclipse. That's a tongue twister. With a partial eclipse, what that means is the Earth is in between both the sun and the moon, but the three bodies don't line up and have like a perfect straight line such as they did in February. However, it's a very important time, and although it won't be visible here in North America, that doesn't mean we won't feel the impact. It will be partially visible actually in all the other parts of the world, both East and Australia, Africa, and Europe. Now, why is this important and why are we always talking about these eclipses? This is a time of much stronger polarity of a full moon than one of our regular months. These twice a year. And it is a time that can bring about very positive and powerful changes. And what's especially important is it can set the tone for your life for the next 6 months, both spiritually, mentally, and physically. Now, it may be very subtle, and there may be some events that get triggered right now, but they may not unfold for the next 3 to 6 months. So it's very important to take advantage of this powerful time. Now, depending on your individual birth chart, as I mentioned, some different things may be triggered through this 6-month period. And we will be feeling the energy very strongly 2 days before. And since we're already Friday night, I'm sure this weekend we'll be feeling the energy, the day of the eclipse, which is Monday. And you may feel some of the after effects both Tuesday and Wednesday as well. It's helpful to reflect back and see where were you in your life in early February. And at that time, the sun was in the earth sign of Capricorn and the moon was in Cancer. So now we're in the reverse, of course. And this particular eclipse can really impact a number of people. You don't have to just have something in both Cancer or Capricorn to feel an effect. Probably if you have something, though, in those two signs, or Aries or Libra, you may feel a strong catalyst. You may feel a strong trigger during that time. Those cardinal signs, those 4 I mentioned, are the ways that all of us take action in our families, our relationships, and our career. So as I said, you may notice some impact. Now, part of the question since the last 6 months is there anything you've been able to do to reframe some of your old ideas? Especially because we're dealing with Cancer and Capricorn, we're talking about nurturing yourself as well as nurturing others emotionally. And I'm wondering, do you have a new sense of connection with your inner self, or some of us call our inner child, as well, of course, as your personality and more external self that might be in regards, again, to your relationships and your career, and perhaps ways that you might have chosen to contribute to the community. Now that we're working with this opposite energy, with both the sun and Cancer, again, the fire sign of Mars is actually in Cancer at this time. So again, I don't mean it's a fire sign. I mean that Mars is a very fiery energy, so that when it's in a water sign, it can get all steamed up, so to speak. And as I mentioned in our new moon YouTube, with both the sun and the moon and Mars were all in Cancer, I'd like to repeat that with Mars so close again to the sun and in what we call a direct opposition to the moon, let's all beware, myself included, of some stronger emotional sensitivity we may have towards other people and towards ourselves. So let's look at some ways we can nurture ourselves as we learn how to express ourselves both spiritually and professionally, since the sun is really all about our vision in the world on both a spiritual and professional level. Now, the moon, of course, has a very different role in our life and in our chart. It has a lot to do with our deep unconscious desires and our emotional sense of security, which would be different depending on where the full moon is in the zodiac that month. Because it does rule these deeper feelings and things that we can't always put our finger on, we need to look this month and see, since the moon will be in the earth sign of Capricorn, what's really important for a little child with this kind of a sign is really a strong need for financial stability. However, the other piece that isn't always discussed is this inner child also needs to know, besides that financial security, can they trust and can they feel safe to ask for what they need emotionally as well? Now remember, because both the sun, which is in a water sign, and the moon in an earth sign, these are what we call more receptive signs. So even though it's a very intense eclipse, some of our experiences may be more internalized because these are receptive energies. So it can certainly impact, though, our outer relationships, like I said, with family, colleagues, co-workers, and friends. However, our role, again, myself included, is however you define your family tribe, is watching your own behavior, watching your own response, and really taking responsibility for your own feelings during this very intense period. Now we have some interesting patterns in the heaven during this time of the eclipse, and these also may influence our feeling and our communication as well. We do have some very harmonious patterns, which I think are very helpful, and we do have some patterns that are asking us to adjust both spiritually and emotionally if we still have limiting beliefs about our spirituality, about our career and our mission. Because this is time to reframe those limiting beliefs and really go to a more uplifting place where you can be encouraged and inspired. The energy is high, as I think a lot of us know, even though it may be a little more subtle. So I want to encourage you to release it in a joyful way. I know for some of us that might be singing or dancing or drumming. For other people, it might be going out in nature and getting a walk. But I'd like you to consider releasing the energy in a twofold way. One is to get that energy released in what I call letting your yayas out, so that you can move that wonderful intensity and use it in a great way to inspire yourself. But I do also want to encourage you to get some quiet time, whether you go by a creek or a mountain or a field, but to spend some quiet time so you can regroup and you may be inspired. Some new possibilities may even just come to your mind in your meditation. But let's remember, during these eclipses, I'm right in there with everyone. I know I've had my own resistance to change. I find it's easier for me now than it used to be. And this is a time where it's such a catalyst, a time when things can get cleared out. But old buried emotions or old conflicts or fears may come out as well. However, it can be a time of new awakenings. We can have stronger feelings than we're used to. So it's really important to stay open. You may open some exciting new chapters in your life, in your work or relationships. However, there may be some old chapters that no longer serve you, and it's time to let those go. Even though it's uncomfortable, it will pave the way for some exciting new possibilities. So as we prepare to close our show, let's remember during these intense times to practice kindness towards others as we continue moving towards our own goals. Let's stay grounded and connected to our own sense of divine presence within. There, as we all know, unfortunately, there is still strong conflict. There's great polarity throughout the world right now. So it's so important for all of us to unite with one another, both in our local communities and in our global communities. Because remember, that unity and that harmony is powerful and can help dissipate many of the challenges we're experiencing right now. So let's work together to unite for the highest good for everyone. And again, I have to practice along with all of us not to react negatively when I happen to see the media, but rather please refer to some of those positive media sources I've spoken with you about, or some new ones I might mention. And for those of you on Netflix, there's one called The Kindness Diaries, which is just beautiful. And you might want to take a look at that. A man who's traveled the world with no money, and he's really relied on the kindness of others. It's a beautiful show. It's important now as we prepare for this eclipse and the one coming up, communicate with your friends, your colleagues, your family. Please do it from a space of love, whether it's from your mind and heart. Do it from love on your mind. And really let people know instead of wanting to withhold that. This is the time. All these things can heal now. Our solar eclipse, the new moon, which will also be very profound and will be visible in many parts of the world. So let's prepare for that as well, which is on August 21st, which of course will be only a couple of weeks from this time. This is a very intense and exciting time, this month of August. Let's all use these energies wisely. Thank you for joining me. I'm Astro Coach Amy. This is the Divine GPS Navigator.